Imagine this. Two people sit down at their computers, open the same large language model, and type in the exact same prompt. One walks away with a shallow, generic summary useful, perhaps, but forgettable. The other emerges with a nuanced insight that sparks a new project, reframes a problem, or even changes the trajectory of their work. Both had equal access to the same cutting-edge AI. So why such dramatically different outcomes? The answer lies not in the technology, but in the minds wielding it. In an age where anyone can query a trillion parameter model, true advantage doesn't come from access, it comes from preparation. And that preparation begins long before you ever open a chat window. It begins with reading. We've been sold a seductive myth that mastering AI is all about crafting the perfect prompt. Just ask better questions, the tutorials say. But here's the uncomfortable truth: without a foundation of knowledge, you don't even know what a good question looks like. Prompting isn't magic phrasing, it's the visible tip of an iceberg built from years of reading, thinking, and connecting ideas. The real skill behind effective AI use isn't linguistic cleverness, it's intellectual context. You need mental scaffolding to hang your queries on, frameworks to interpret responses, and enough background to recognize when the model is leading you astray or offering something genuinely valuable. Consider how knowledge sharpens your questions. A novice might ask, "How does I think?" A vague, almost poetic inquiry that invites metaphor over mechanism. An informed user, however, asks, "Can you explain how attention mechanisms in transformer models enable contextual understanding without recurrence?" That specificity doesn't emerge from prompt engineering tricks. It emerges from having read about neural networks, understood the limitations of earlier architectures like RNNs, and grasped why transformers revolutionized natural language processing. Domain literacy transforms fuzzy curiosity into precise interrogation. And precision matters because large models thrive on clarity. They mirror the structure of your thought. Feed them ambiguity and they return platitudes. Feed them rigor and they reflect it back, often amplified. But asking sharp questions is only half the battle. The other half is evaluating what you get in return, and that demands baseline understanding. Without it, you read defenseless against hallucinations, oversimplifications, or confidently stated falsehoods. Picture a student researching the causes of World War I. If they lack historical literacy, they might accept an LLM as a tidy narrative that pins everything on the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, classic textbook simplification. But a well-read historian would immediately spot the omission, the tangled web of alliances, imperial rivalries, militarism, and nationalist fervor that made Europe a powder keg long before 1914. They'd recognize the model as reductionism not as truth, but as a starting point to probe deeper. Knowledge acts as your internal fact-checker, your critical filter. It lets you distinguish between surface-level coherence and substantive accuracy, between what sounds right and what is right. And then there's synthesis, alchemy that turns information into insight. Users with rich mental libraries don't just copy-paste AI output, they remix it. They take a model summary of quantum decoherence and connect it to a philosophical debate about observation they read in a philosophy journal last year. They blend an economic forecast generated by AI with patterns they've noticed in emerging markets from decades of business reporting. This combinatorial creativity is impossible without a reservoir of stored knowledge. Those who havings to read widely default to regurgitation. They treat the model as an oracle rather than a collaborator. But those who have cultivated deep, interdisciplinary understanding use AI as a springboard, not a crutch. They don't T just consume answers. They build arguments, challenge assumptions, and generate original perspectives by fusing machine-generated content with human-created wisdom. Let's make this concrete. Imagine two researchers, one a recent graduate with limited exposure beyond their narrow coursework, the other a seasoned scholar with decades of reading across history, economics, and systems theory. Both are tasked with analyzing the societal impact of remote work. They input the same prompt. What are the long-term effects of remote work on urban economies? The novice receives a list of bullet points. Reduced office demand, changed commuting patterns, potential tax base erosion. Useful but static. The expert, however, reads between the lines. They recall Jane Jacobs' theories about street-level vitality, remember case studies of post-industrial cities like Pittsburgh, and consider demographic shifts documented in urban sociology texts. They ask follow-ups like, how might remote work accelerate or reverse the donut effect described by economists? Or could this reshape the fiscal compact between cities and suburbs? Their prior knowledge transforms raw data into dynamic analysis. Same tool, same starting point, but wildly different intellectual yield. So how do you build this advantage? Not by memorizing prompt formulas, but by filling your mind. Read widely across science, history, literature, philosophy. Read deeply, return to foundational texts, trace ideas through time, understand not just what, but why. Treat every book, article, podcast, or lecture not as isolated consumption, but as future fuel for smarter collaboration with AI. That obscure essay on cognitive load theory? It might help you design better educational prompts next month. That biography of Marie Curie? It could inform how you frame questions about scientific perseverance in the face of institutional bias. Your knowledge reservoir doesn't just store facts, it builds intuition, pattern recognition, and the ability to navigate complexity. And in the age of AI, that reservoir is your most strategic asset. Because here's the ultimate truth we must reclaim. Artificial intelligence doesn't replace thinking, it amplifies it. It magnifies the quality of the mind behind the query. A shallow thinker gets shallow results, no matter how advanced the model. A curious, well-read, critically engaged mind turns the same model into a co-pilot for discovery. The democratization of AI hasn't leveled the playing field. It's revealed the depth of the intellectual divide. And the bridge across that divide isn't better algorithms or faster chips. It's books. It's articles. It's the quiet, cumulative work of building understanding, one page at a time. So read more, not because knowledge is its own reward, though it is, but because it's your leverage. Every hour you spend reading today compounds into sharper questions, wiser evaluations, and richer syntheses tomorrow. In a world where everyone has a supercomputer in their pocket, your mind remains the ultimate interface. Cultivate it. Feed it. Challenge it. Because the real power of AI isn't in the model, it's in the human who knows how to wield it. And that human? They've done their homework.